don't even know, we don't know.
Sorry.
Okay, that's it.
All right, well, thank you.
Okay.
Gosh, now I'm wondering what I don't know.
Well, you don't know what you don't know.
What do we do with this message?
Yeah, exactly. The big thing is I think this year has shown us that there are just a lot of things we didn't know. We didn't
Right.
expect, we didn't know. So it's been a interesting year and continues to be.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Are there any updates on the health and safety of Rotary? Okay, no news today. That's probably good news. Are there guests to be welcomed today? And I would like to welcome Miss Amy Vining, who will be speaking with us shortly. Any other announcement? Mike, you did have a conversation with food bank. Would you just mention when they said that we might be gathering in person?
Yeah, thanks. I stopped by last week and chit chat a little bit. They're looking at September opening back up for groups so they can finish working on their protocol and put together whatever changes they need to do to accommodate both our club, Greater Sunrise, and I think the Downtown Kiwanis Club. The one of the things that I mentioned is we probably will need some technical AV assistance, because I think we'll probably want to try to stream these meetings going forward for those individuals that may not feel comfortable meeting in person. So.
Very, very good. Thank you very much.
President
Are there any
Wright.
other announcements?
Yes, President Wright, if I could just put in one plug regarding the Rotarian survey that was emailed out to folks earlier this week. Thank you very, very much for all those that have already taken the time to complete it. For those that haven't, you've got until Monday to do so, and we really would appreciate your input and ideas on what we can be doing in terms of planning as we think about how to resume and how to do that in a way that meets everybody's needs. So that's available through your email link if you've got any questions about it, or if you would prefer to provide your feedback through a conversation instead, please feel free to reach out to me.
Very good. Thank you much. Okay, there being no other announcements. Next slide, please. It is time for the program. Rotarian Lynetta Coney will introduce our featured speaker, Amy Vining from the Red Cross. Lynetta, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. It gives me pleasure to introduce Amy Vining, and she joined the East Central Bay chapter of the American Red Cross in August of 2018 and is overseeing that humanitarian effort for multiple counties, 10 counties namely, Aranac, Bay, Genesee, Gladwin, Huron, Lapeer, Midland, Saginaw, Sanilac, Tuscola. That's a lot. Well, prior to that, she was she spent 14 years with United Way in Genesee County, and she is a graduate, wait for it, of the University of Michigan. I say that because I know you folks like that. I bleed Howard University and Michigan State, but that's all right. Okay, she's a graduate of University of Michigan with a Master's of Arts in Global Education Technology and a Bachelor's in Business Administration from Baker College. Now, she spent 3 residencies in Geneva, Switzerland, building global virtual communities for K-12 educational programs. And she got married, believe it or not, during the pandemic. So she's shown us that she's able to endure and made a significant move in her lifestyle to tie the knot during the pandemic. So let's welcome Amy to the screen. Amy?
Thank you, Lynetta, very much. You know, as I'm joining, most of you know my maiden name is Meister, but so many of you are just so familiar from my previous life at United Way. So it's nice to see you all. Thank you for having me today. I'm going to attempt, I'm used to using the Teams environment. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen and also show you some videos along the way. So if you could bear with me just a few minutes. Let me know if you can see that.
Yes.
Okay. So I joined the Red Cross, as Lynetta said, in August of 2018. And really, that was after, you know, the United Way and the Red Cross and other organizations across the community really Flint water crisis. And that led me to really moving on to a different organization and a different role in disaster services mainly. But there are other lines of service that I also have kind of fell in love with. I started 16 years old. I was trained as a lifeguard through the American Red Cross, and then have just, you know, all of us, I think, have those components where the Red Cross has touched our lives. We just might not realize it at the time. So hopefully at the end of the presentation, you'll all feel that way as well. This is kind of the agenda that I want to take you through today. I'm going to spend the first 5 minutes showing you a video. We just celebrated our 140 year in service. So we have a really cool video that kind of goes through the different disasters, starting with a Michigan disaster, which was our first response for the Red Cross, which most people don't know. And then go into East Central Bay locations. I do oversee 10 county area, so that's really up here up to Gladwin and then all of the thumb. Our local leadership, so our board of directors and our community volunteer leaders that work side by side with me to make sure that everyone is assisted through our lines of service, an overview of our lines of service, and then really specifically what we're doing in Genesee County and our response over the last year. Biomed is really important in the Flint community, so I'm going to dive back into that a little bit and then go into how you can help in a question and answer. So that's kind of what the agenda is going to look like. I'm going to start the video, and I think I need to exit out of PowerPoint in order to be able to do that. Hold on just a minute. Do you guys see the video now?
No.
Not yet.
Let me reshare. How about now?
Yes.
There we go. Yes. The audio's not working.
Anybody hearing the audio?
No, no, it's not coming
No?
through.
Okay. Thanks, Elizabeth, for pointing that out. All right, does somebody know how in this environment to get it to, oh, there it is, hold on. All right, let me restart.
Has been at the heart of our mission for over 140 years. Responding to 3 million disasters, we've helped millions of people across the country. In 1881, months after Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross, we launched our first response, donating money, clothes, and furniture to victims of devastating Michigan forest fires. From this, we then began delivering emergency shelter, food, and relief supplies during disasters. This led to our first major hurricane response in 1893. For nearly a year in South Carolina, we stood with survivors who lost everything, helping them rebuild their homes and livelihoods. Early efforts like these laid the groundwork for our future responses, many of which we still use today. In 1927, the Great Mississippi River flood covered over 16 million acres, an area bigger than West Virginia. It was our largest relief operation since World War I. By boat and train, we delivered tents, food, and hygiene items, and inoculated people against water-related diseases. In 1969, Hurricane Camille was the most damaging storm on record. The night it made landfall, tens of thousands of people relied on us for shelter, just as they do today for all types of natural disasters. When the Northridge earthquake ravaged Southern California in 1994, thousands of Red Cross volunteers delivered aid such as health and emotional support and served over 1.5 million meals. Then there was Katrina. At our peak response, we were serving 1 million meals a day. The 2005 hurricane became the biggest disaster to strike our country, and one we will never forget. Since then, severe weather has continued to batter communities, some again and again. In 2017, back-to-back hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria became some of the worst in U.S. history. And record-breaking wildfires continue to rage year after year. Looking ahead, as disasters become more frequent and intense, and with disaster seasons lasting longer and longer, we're continuing to adapt, just as we have for the past 140 years. In light of climate change, we're committed to grow our response capacity and deliver our services more sustainably, so the American Red Cross can continue to help future generations in need. Join us to learn more and how you can get involved. Visit redcross.org.
So I wanted to show that video because while, a lot of the effort is focusing on our local communities, the Michigan region, because we do not have the normal hurricanes that affect the other parts of the country, our region is known for sending volunteers out in these times of national disaster. For instance, last year I deployed for almost 4 weeks for the 4 hurricanes that hit Louisiana. 2 of them I got grounded during flight, till the hurricanes passed. but they were back-to-back hurricanes hitting the same communities. Right when we would get individuals to go back into a normal living environment, the next hurricane would hit. So I put that out there as we have Michigan volunteers. 90% of the Red Cross is volunteer driven, and those volunteers leave our communities to go and help and assist in other communities. Let me get back to the PowerPoint. So on a national level, so Red Cross is under one tax ID. In 2014, all of the local chapters changed from individual chapters and multiple tax ID numbers and multiple chapters to under one tax ID. So we're all national employees serving a national footprint, but our communities, our chapter presence serves about 1 million individuals. So in the 10 county area that I oversee, there's about 1 million individuals that make up that chapter. That's for response timing most of the time, and that happens across the nation. There are various locations. This is our, just to give you an idea of our national situation awareness map. These are, I pulled this morning. These are disasters currently across the nation. You'll see we have nothing happening in Michigan currently, but disasters are any disaster operation that is over $10,000. We'll start one of these. So you'll see the one right here, that is a $10,000 to a $20,000 response. And then the numbers increase based on the level. The levels go by a financial response. These areas right here where it's brown and tan, they're watching for their high risk for fire zones currently. And then these, you'll see the yellow fire dots are where we currently have active fires. Those could be apartment fires, forest fires, large scale fires that our teams are responding to. So this is what we view on a daily basis. Our chapter location, so East Central Bay is the red territory over here. There are 6 chapters in the state of Michigan. So we have the northern is the yellow, mid-Michigan is the blue, southwest is
Amy,
green,
we're still watching.
west
We're still watching slide number 1. Can you just click on each slide as
Oh,
you go on?
yeah. Okay. Can you see this?
Yep, there you are.
Okay. So this was the national footprint, the national awareness map, to give you an idea of all the. Okay, these are all the disaster operations that are happening across the state currently. This is our chapter locations for the state of Michigan. So red is our territory. So that's that would be the 10 county area that I oversee. And then this is our list of our board of directors and our community volunteer leaders. So our local board of directors for East Central Bay is overseen by Kelly Crystal, who is our chair, and Cheryl Thompson is our vice chair. So moving into our lines of service, so we have our disaster services. So what I showed you earlier in the video is under disaster services is mainly what we do. Our largest disaster that we service every single day is home fire response. So we respond to every single home fire that an individual calls and lets us know that they need assistance. And part of that response is to get them immediate lodging, meals, financial assistance. If they've lost prescription and glasses in the home fire, we can immediately replace that. Any of their identification, we can help them replace. And that's what happens in our community on a daily basis. In our 10 county span, Flint and Saginaw have the highest fire population that happens on a nightly basis. Sound the Alarm is a 3-week campaign that happens across the nation. Flint is a signature city every year. We had Sound the Alarm on May 8th. So last month we installed, worked with the City of Flint Fire Department to install smoke alarms across the city. So one of the things individuals don't understand is, or don't know, is when we respond to home fires, we will also do preparedness on the front end. So we install smoke alarms, we go through preparedness plans with families, we'll go into our school systems and do educational programs. So we have 2 Pedro the Penguin, that is for our 1st and 2nd graders. And then we have the Pillowcase Project, which is for our 4th through 6th graders. And we teach them the importance of having a plan, what to do if there is a fire in their home. We walk parents through, if there's multiple children in the home, who's going to take care of what child. So in the moment that the fire starts, or that individuals become aware of a fire, it can be quite chaotic. So we try to give them a plan, that at least everybody knows where to meet outside the home. And that's a lot of the preparedness work that we do around the sound the alarm. Our next line of service is our biomed, which is normally individuals know the Red Cross by 2 lines of service, biomed or our disaster services. So there's 3 fixed sites across the state of Michigan. Flint has one of them. So at our office on Grand Traverse, you can come in and donate platelets, plasma, whole blood on a consistent basis. Our fixed site is staffed 6 days a week. We also have our mobile drive teams. So the American Red Cross makes up 40% of the nation's blood supply. When COVID hit, there were 2 things that our biomed team did, is we immediately started collecting convalescent plasma to get out to local hospitals for treatment to individuals that were in the hospitalized for COVID. So that was one of the areas. We have stopped taking convalescent plasma because there is not a need from the hospitals like there was. But that was one way that we were responding and using our fixed site to respond to the COVID pandemic. Service to the armed forces is one of our other lines of service. So if we have any veterans on the call, you might have known at some point you were connected to the Red Cross. The Red Cross is with our service members from the point of entry into deployment until really death. Any individual can call. We have a 24/7 hotline. We help veterans, family members. We have coping deployment classes that we hold for family members, but we are actually congressionally chartered to support our service members, but we're not federally funded. So we are congressionally chartered to have a 24/7 communication line for our service to the armed forces members and their families. So if anybody is needed to get out of deployment, no matter where they are across the globe, that cannot happen without going through the Red Cross. So the Red Cross gets that individual out home for whatever event might have happened in their life where they need to come out of the service for a temporary period. Next line of services are training services. So we offer CPR, first aid, AED classes, babysitting and caregiving classes, and then the swimming and water safety. That includes also the lifeguard classes. We'll start from beginners to intermediate, and then we'll actually, you can go through the lifeguards to train individuals to train and start their own lifeguard training courses using Red Cross training. We are the only training provider for military. So all military members are Red Cross trained, and we also have local contracts with hospitals where we train their entire staff. Locally, that would be the McLaren Hospital System. Training services can happen on an individual basis in our facility, or they can be done corporate-wide where you can have a trainer come into your corporation. We will also go through and do assessments on, it's called 365, to make sure that your business is ready if a disaster should hit, if they have a disaster plan. We also sell AEDs. So most businesses need an AED. It's a requirement. So if they go through the Red Cross, a donation goes back to the Red Cross services. One of the unique things with the Red Cross is any of these lines of service are all free. It is not income dependent. It is not based on anything within the community. If any of you call and need a smoke alarm or have a fire in your home, we're going to respond. Not everybody needs the response. Once we respond, so that will be determined by what individuals actually accept from the Red Cross. So let's say you have insurance on your home, but you've had a home fire. We will respond to that home fire, but you can deny a financial assistance if you have a means to get that. But we will offer it and will not deny anybody that financial assistance. So it's one of the unique things about the Red Cross. Also, all lines of service support each other. So if you give blood through the Red Cross, you're also supporting disaster services, the home fire campaign, training services, and the other free items that we offer to the community. So I'm going to stop there a minute and see if there's just any questions on our lines of service and those 5 slides. Okay. So let's go on to what we're actually doing in Genesee County. So as I said, I transferred from United Way to the American Red Cross right after the Flint water crisis response. And really that was because as I led the fund development team at the United Way, which raised about $4 million in a 2-month span for the Flint water crisis. And on a daily basis, I mean, minute by minute, we received so many phone calls from across the globe. So I was really awestruck by the level of humanity to help in that type and that scale of disaster. I had never seen that before, but wanted to then continue my work in an organization that did that across the nation. And that's what really led me to move over to the Red Cross. In Genesee County, this is our disaster service delivery. So since July 1st of 2020, we have responded, and this is only Genesee County for this portion, 141 home fire responses, 412 individuals have been assisted. We actually did have a disaster operation that opened. A disaster operation opens if it's over a $10,000 response, and that was the Court Street Apartments that happened. There was 1 fatality. We also will help with burial if there is a fatality in a fire. And then there were 17 other clients serviced. We did work with the apartment complex and were able to get those individuals back into a different apartment setting. So they were only in our non-congregate shelters for about a week. And then they were able to move back into the apartment. Across East Central Bay, so this is the 10 counties, we have had 1,205 cases opened for some type of service to the armed forces assistance. We also work with the Saginaw VA, our local VA hospital across the Central Bay, and training services across East Central Bay alone. There have been 6,648 individuals trained in one of our life-saving classes. I'm going to do a little bit deeper dive into our biomed. Biomed is really, the next screen is how you can help, but this is really where we need individuals to help. Every 2 seconds, someone in the US needs blood. And I'll just tell you a brief story. My son had to have surgery at 4 months old at University of Michigan Hospital. He had to have his skull remodeled, and that led to him getting a blood transfusion. When I moved over to the Red Cross, I found out that the Red Cross is the one that supplied the blood to the transfusion that my son received. There is a big push currently for sickle cell donations, which are race and ethnicity specific donations. So you'll see a larger push across the nation on sickle cell awareness. We have Dr. Anyway on our board, who is a pediatric hematologist at Hurley Hospital, and he leads our biomedical work across the 10 county area. So if you just think about blood, it could be for any type of diseases that babies through adulthood or seniors can have. The average Red Cross blood cell transfusion is 3 units. A single car accident victim can require as many as 100 units of blood. And blood and platelets cannot be manufactured. They have to come from actual donors. The blood type most often requested by hospitals is O, because O is a universal. So if there's a single car accident, somebody needs a transfusion immediately, they're going to look to that O. So if you're an O donor, you probably, and have donated with us before, you probably get a lot of text and phone calls asking to come back in. Blood donations you can give every 56 days. Platelets you can give every 5 days, and they have a 5-day shelf life. So these are ways that I would like to ask for your assistance. Help raise awareness about the need for blood. Give blood if there's a drive open in your community, or help us host a virtual blood drive, or be a site for a mobile blood drive. I know Mott Community College is a great partner of ours, and they host a lot of the drives on behalf of Hurley Hospital, because Hurley Hospital cannot have the drives at the hospital. So thank you for that partnership. Again, 90% of our workforce is volunteer driven. For every one of me, there are 35 volunteers that are doing the work and the mission of the Red Cross across the nation. Share with your networks, and if there's any other group that you think would be beneficial to hear this presentation, with some work out the kinks in my technology, just please let me know and I will be glad to do that. And now I will take questions, and here's my contact information that you can write down, and feel free to contact me for anything. But are there any questions that I can answer for you?
Questions?
Yes,
Amy.
I have one for Amy. This is Lynn speaking. Is there somewhere online where you can find out the qualifications for giving blood or platelets? I know that after AIDS, things tightened really. It became more difficult to give blood.
Yes, so if you go to redcross.org, and you go to, there's a Give Blood tab, it will have all of the information on the requirements, and actually they've lifted some of those requirements, but it'll go through eligibility, and then there's also a zip code option. So if you choose to give blood, you can enter your zip code and it'll bring up the closest drives in Genesee County.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Amy.
Yeah.
Relative to my experience with the Red Cross with the military, prior to cell phones, et cetera, the Red Cross primarily was a means of communication. On all the major military installations, there's a Red Cross office. And for example, let's say that the parents have not heard from Private Joe for X period of time, and they're going, where is he at? Where is he at? You can simply call the local Red Cross, give them the information that you know, and they'll process communication with the major unit to the extent that they'll almost go down and tap on the shoulder of the individual and say, hey, you need to call home. The other aspect is if there's an emergency with the family back home, the Red Cross, in effect, is the means of verifying that there really is a death in the family, and it happens rather quickly, and the individual is granted emergency leave and off he goes back home.
Yeah, those are great points. Thank you for bringing those up. So we continue to have those offices across the globe for our U.S. military. And there will be a couple times throughout the year where we'll get a request at the local office to send supplies. So for instance, last year, we got a request in the Flint chapter office to gather and send supplies to Poland for really our women service women who were in the military, because in Poland, they didn't have the necessary feminine products that they needed there. So at a certain point, we do get requests to send supplies, if that's ever, anything that you want me to push out to the group as well. But we do have those offices in the major installments across the globe. Thank you for bringing that up.
Do they still have service women that go out to the units? We call them donut dollies in Vietnam.
Yeah, no, I don't. We have canteens that are set up in every installation.
Okay.
That currently, yeah. So we'll keep some type of closet or a store that's for free that individuals, servicemen and women, can go in and get the products they need. And then when we're short on supply, a request will come to the chapters to fulfill those.
Okay. Amy,
Amy,
you
I have a
mentioned
question.
the type needed most was type O. Is that both positive and negative?
That I believe so,
Okay.
but I would have to check on that. I don't want to lead you astray on that one.
Okay. Just curious.
Amy, this is Jerry Hill. I have a question. First of all, I've had experience with Red Cross, and I worked with the people in Bay City, Michigan, on servicing all their vehicles, and they're just wonderful people, and I love the organization. I wanted to ask a question about how is the Red Cross funded, and just in a basic way. You don't have to go into a lot of detail.
Individual donations, public support. So the one thing we are not is federally funded. We're federally congressionally chartered, but not funded. So we rely on the support of individuals, corporations, foundations, and local gifts.
It's amazing.
What are the
You might
age
have been
limits for giving blood?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What are the age limits for giving blood?
You can give blood 16 plus. 16 needs a parental signature. You have to weigh at least 110 pounds. So there are some other requirements on top of that. But
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, very good. Excellent presentation. Very.
thank you. Sorry about the technology glitches.
We are very familiar with this technology business. Can I get my next screen, please? Thanks again, Amy, for joining us, number one, and for giving us such great information. And in appreciation for the time and preparation that you donated for your very educational presentation, the Rotary Club of Flint will make a donation in your name to the Rotary International Foundation for the Eradication of Polio. We certainly appreciate you joining us today, and we sincerely enjoyed that presentation. Thanks again.
Thank you very much.
Flint Rotary expresses its appreciation for our organizers today. Rotarian Lynetta Coney for introducing today's speaker, and Rotarian Marie Zuck for today's inspirational message and for taking notes of today's activities. Flint Rotary thanks each and every one of you for joining us today. And we are inviting you to join us next week for a presentation by the CRIM's Development Director, Brandon Morgan. You are invited to bring a guest as we plan to participate in the activities of the CRIM. Be safe, be vaccinated if you are not, give blood if you haven't, and look for opportunities to provide service above self as you enjoy more sunshine and warmth. Listen carefully for the bell to signify that we are adjourned. Are we still listening? Dong. We're adjourned, everybody. Have a great weekend.
All right. Here we go. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Yep.
Oh, geez.
Enjoy the sunshine.
A good meeting. Thank you. Hi, William.
George, it
Hey,
works.
how are you?
Good,
How's everybody?
good.
Good.
Bill, how you doing?
Good.
Take
good.
care, Reverend Jim. Nice to see you.
Yeah, Jim. Good to see
And
you.
Mary. Very nice.
Good to see you all too.
Okay. Everybody have a good week.
Yep,
Good.
Okay.
thank you.
Bye.
So I should say stay cool now since it's going to be 90 degrees. At least that's what they say.
It'll be hotter than blazes.
Well, in order to stay cool, you guys stay inside the AC.
That is-
Yeah, we have to stay in.
That is true. That is true.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
I've got another question that has to do with this meeting. anybody seen Reg Lancaster? Didn't hear his voice today.
No, he didn't join us today.
Oh, he didn't.
No, he's probably got something going on.
Yeah, he heads out to New York for part of the summer, where his cottage is. So I'm not sure if he's already gone out there or not. But that or he slept through and didn't make the meeting. We don't know.
It was sleepy type weather.
Yeah, all right.
That's
Bye-bye, guys.
Because he's retired, huh?
Right, well, we're all retired. All right, Jerry, take care. Have a good weekend.
All right, you
Reverend
too.
Jim,
Enjoy
President
that.
Ray.
Bye.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.